It's tournament day and I'm very excited. I'm playing in the Open today, which we'll see how this goes. I'm playing in the same tournament I've played in the past. This is like my club's tournament, but I'm like seventh from the bottom because there's a lot of people in the Open that are very high rated. So we'll see how this goes. I'm hoping for a good day. I'm hoping to go like at least like 3 out of 5. I'm not going to be delusional and think I'm going 5 out of 5. But yeah, I want to win some games. I'm going to try my hardest and we'll see how it goes. So wish me luck. Jonathan, how do you feel about the tournament today?
I'm a little tired, and I'm just gonna go for it and see what happens. And hopefully, I don't blunder, and that's all I'm gonna focus on.
Nice.
No fucking no.
Nice. What section are you playing in?
Under 1400.
Nice. Good luck. I hope you
you.
win some games.
Hopefully.
How are you feeling?
Good. My stomach's a little upset, but I
Yeah.
think that's just like my body getting ready.
Yeah.
Like any extra weight before I gotta crush some kids.
Crush some kids.
Yeah.
Definitely. What section are you playing?
Under 1400.
Are you feeling good about your section? What are the vibes?
I am. I'm like in the top 10 of my section.
Okay.
But I also haven't played in maybe like 2 weeks.
Okay.
So
We'll see how it goes. We're gonna get a win. Gotta get multiple wins. Beat up some kids.
Yeah.
All right. Good luck.
Thank you.
I lost my game. It was rough. I got move ordered into an opening I didn't want to play, and I lost. Yeah. How was your game?
I won.
Oh!
They hung their. I trapped their knight, and then it was kind of downhill from there.
Hell
but
yeah.
I was like low on time the entire time.
We take it. We take it. How was your game?
Amazing. I won in one move. They didn't show up.
He said earlier, 1 e4 win. So now we're
Because he
going.
calculated the mate.
Yeah, literally. It's like mate in 25. We're done. So now we're going into round 2 in like an hour. We're gonna get lunch, and we'll see how the rest of the day goes. Hopefully, it's onwards and upwards.
Or Giso.
Another tournament in the books. Yes, I have finished the tournament. It is now Tuesday and the tournament was on Sunday. So it's been 2 days. I've had time to collect my thoughts and I'm here to share them with y'all. So this was a Game in 25 Delay 5 tournament, which I wasn't super excited for because Delay 5 just means less time compared to plus 5. So I wasn't too happy about that, but I was going to make it work. I have played in this tournament. Now this is my 3rd time playing in this tournament. It's my local club's tournament and they host one like kind of every season. So this is the fall action and I was excited. I was playing in the open, y'all, which might seem a little ambitious, but the sections are either under 1,000, under 1,400, or open. So I was obviously going to go with the open because I was 1437. So I was like, well, I am going to go with this. So it was either that or nothing. So I get to the tournament and I'm very excited. Like, okay, last week, if you guys didn't see my last video, it was a really bad tournament. But I was like, you know what? Let's put that in the past. New tournament. I am super excited. I'm playing in the open, which I honestly, it's very freeing to play in the open because normally I'm like the 5th lowest seed. So like I'm normally playing players that are like 200 to 300 points higher than me, which means that if I win, I can gain a lot. And if I lose, it's like, okay, well, they're 200 to 300 points higher than me. So like, this isn't really going to hurt me that much. And I also really just like playing stronger opposition. So I go into round 1 and I'm playing a like 1700, 1715, something like that. And I'm like, all right. But this tournament, I decided I'm not going to look at their ratings at all. And actually the pairings that come up, like they print out a page and they post it on the wall, didn't show the rating of your opponent. So I just looked at who I was playing, looked at my board number table to go to, and then moved along and didn't ask their rating until after the game, which I think has a really good psychological element to it because I'm not like scared that I'm playing someone super high rated than me. And like most of the people in my section were not lower rated than me, so I knew they were all going to be higher rated, but I didn't know how higher rated, so I couldn't like psych myself out prior to the rounds. So we go into the game and I'm playing black, what happened? Let's pull this up. The chess. I totally forgot what happened in this game. Study. Where is my study? I made a study for this. Yeah, okay. So I had to actually look at what happened in this game. So I go into this game and I'm like, all right, cool. I kind of want to show you guys this. Let's actually look at the game. So it started off like normal. We just go into, like, it started off, you know, e4, d6, f4, g6, knight f3, and then bishop g7. And at this point, I was expecting an Austrian attack, which is normally this. So I was expecting that. And then I see bishop c4, and I'm like, all right, it's still possible to be an Austrian. Let's just develop normal. Then they go knight c3, and I'm like, okay, cool. I actually missed a tactic here, which, you know, maybe is because I didn't see d4, so I was confused. And the tactic, I actually know this from my other games, is I can just take here. And then after takes, I just play this. But sometimes I have been getting a little bit screwed over if I take that pawn too early. So I've been trying to castle instead, because sometimes when I play this and they take, sometimes they don't even take, they'll just take here first, and then after takes, and then my king is fine after like just trying to castle by hand, but it's just annoying. So I was just like a little confused, and I didn't even think of that tactic because I'm used to seeing it in a different line. And so I just was like, okay, let's just castle normally. So castles d3, and I'm like, what are we doing right now? I don't know what's going on. And so I thought to myself, okay, if I play e5 here, then I'm going to be playing a freaking bishop's opening, which is not what I want to do right now. So I was very upset, and I decided, you know what? No, thank you. I'll just play c5 instead. So I played c5, and now, which this move also was premature, than playing f5. But anyways, we go through the game. They take, I try and start an attack, and then it goes pretty badly, and I end up playing some really dumb moves, and here I'm supposed to play bishop g4. I don't ever play this structure at all, because now this is basically like a Sicilian, and I don't play this structure. I'm a perk player. So I didn't know where my bishop was supposed to go. I was getting confused with other lines, and I end up losing the game. I actually end up getting into a very weird spot and losing a piece, and then I had counterplay at the end, but my opponent defended really well, and I lost the game. So it happens. But I wanted to show y'all the opening. So that was a wild game. And then moving on into my next round, I'm like, all right, I'm playing a different person. I am now playing a like 1600, which again, I didn't know what their rating was because I didn't look at it. And this time I'm playing with white. I'm very excited. I'm like, cool, we're going to be good. I fuck up the opening really, really badly. I end up playing, he played like a weird move order. I got confused. And then I end up letting his queen come into my side of the board. We're playing a bishop's opening. And I let his queen come to h4, and it's like attacking my king, and it was just so incredibly bad. And I thought, okay, if like the queen comes over to h4, I can just block with the g-pawn. And then I realized as soon as the queen came over that I cannot block with the g-pawn because they'll just take. So I got into a very messy situation. I got out of it though. Thankfully, I was able to avoid getting mated within like 15 moves. And then I was like, all right, I'm probably going to go down the exchange. And then I don't go down the exchange. My opponent plays it a different way and lets me survive, and I don't go down the exchange, which I was kind of okay with going down the exchange because I was like, you know what, at least I'm not getting mated. But I ended up being able to save my rook and didn't have to trade and go down the exchange. And then we get to the endgame, which I want to show y'all. And let me just show you guys. So this is the endgame, okay? You see all this messiness that happened in the corner? Yeah, that was because I messed up my opening, like on the king side. And so I get to play this check. The king moves up, and I'm like, am I going to win this? So I play b4, which is a bad move, but I played it. My opponent moves their rook, and I'm back in the game. they were actually supposed to take my g-pawn. And so I'm like, okay. And then I play this, and now I actually have the advantage. And I'm like, hey, maybe I can mate them. Like, and I'm like, let me push these pawns. But I was very worried about my dark squares. Very, very, very worried. So I play this, they play this, and guess what? All I needed to do was not play what I play. I play rook b1. Thinking, okay, when I push this pawn, the dark square is going to be covered by my pawn. Or if I push this pawn, like this pawn won't fall if the king ends up walking forward. I had very, very little time. I had basically no time. I think I had like literally a minute at this point, and it was delay 5. So like literally no time. And my opponent, of course, had like 12 minutes. My opponents used no time, which was not very fun for me. And so I played rook b1, which was bad. I was supposed to play, like, even just playing bishop d5 is fine here because I can just get a perpetual, like, after this, and just, even here is fine, and they just don't have anything, and we can just go back and forth. But I don't do that. Instead, I play rook b1, which is just completely losing. And then after rook h1, I took the rook, the knight took, and then I literally flagged. And so I lost this game, even though I had a draw in my grasp. But I lost the game, and now I'm 0 for 2. And I was like, okay. I asked the kid his rating, and he was like, oh, I'm like 1600. And I was like, okay, great. Like, I totally could have won that game. But I blew it, and I choked in low time, which seems to be a problem. I feel like if I had a coach, they would be like, listen, you choke a lot. You need to fix this. But that's what happened. I blundered the draw. It would have been great to come back from that, but I lost. And so then we had a little bit of a break, and I go to the next round. I walk up to the little pairing sheet, and I'm like, hey, looking for my name. And then I see all the way at the bottom, Sam, bye. And I'm like, great. So I go up and I'm like, all right, I have a bye this round because there's like an uneven amount of players. And so I just sat around for like an hour, and I got a point out of it. So I got a free win, no rating, but I got a free win. And now I'm 1 out of 3 in the third round. So third round ends. I just sat around. And then I go into the fourth round, and I'm like, okay, Sam, you need to win. You have lost both of your games. You technically are 1 out of 3, but let's be real, that doesn't really count. And you need to win this next game. So I go into the next game, and my opponent is late by like 5 minutes. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'll get another forfeit win. Like, maybe I'll be 2 out of 4, and both of the games I'll have won will have been no opponent sitting at the board with me. And so I'm sitting around for like 5 minutes. He finally shows up, and I was just sitting with e4 on the board, like just like la la, like just waiting around. And so he plays knight f6, and I'm like, okay. And I played knight c3, d5, and I'm like, what is going on? And then I'm like, oh, this is a Scandi. Okay. Sure. Takes, queen takes. And we're just going to play d4 and play it like a normal Scandinavian. I had to think for a little bit here because I just have not really seen that move order with knight f6 first. Usually I see e4, d5 when I play against the Scandi, which it's the same thing. I just was trying to make sure I wasn't going to get move ordered into something that I didn't want to play. And so, or just like making a mistake. So I play d4. And then they play g6. I protect my pawn. They attack my pawn. I play bishop e2 to develop. I really wasn't sure where my knight was going to go, where my bishop was going to go. But I knew that if the bishop comes out to g4, like at least my bishop will be there. Like if they're attacking my knight, like nothing will fall. So I knew that this was the move. And then they played c5, which I have never seen before. And I was like, okay, I don't really know what to do right now. Again, I had no idea what my opponent's rating was, so I was like, this could be a great move that I have no idea what it is, or this is a horrible move. And turns out I'm actually supposed to take the pawn, but I don't, and instead I just develop. Then I play bishop e3, which I think is fine. So now they don't take, they castle, I castle, and then they develop, I push my pawn, they take finally, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to take with the bishop because then they're going to take with the knight, and then they're going to have a really good bishop for no reason. So I take with the knight instead, so that if they take back, I can take back with the bishop, which is what they did. And now I'm attacking their bishop, and then they play e5. I saw all of this. I was very confident at this point. This is a very even game. I play bishop e3. They move over, and I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to get my queen off this file. And then they play f5, and I'm like, all right, we're really going for it. And I thought here, okay, if I can get my bishop to go along this diagonal, like, I'll be pretty happy. But obviously I can't because the queen's here right now, and then I can't put my queen here because the bishop just blocks, and it's not like I can come over, like, after, say, this. I can't just block because the queen is defending as well, so I would just lose a piece. So I just, like, had that in my head as a plan that I kind of wanted to go for. So they play f5, and I'm like, okay, rooks to the center. And this is just a completely even game so far. And it felt very equal when I was playing it. I was like, oh god, I really hope this person's not low rated because this could totally be a draw. And like, I could lose a whole bunch of rating by just like drawing this game. But I was just like, you know what? If it turns into a draw, it turns into a draw. So I get b6. And I'm like, okay, they're trying to line up. I'm not going to fall for that. Boom. Bishop f3. And I'm like, if you're going to try and put your bishop there, guess what? You're going to have to push your pawn to e4, and I'm actually okay with that because then you're going to cut off your own diagonal that you're trying to get on. So they do that, I move back, and then they push, and I saw this, and I was like, actually, I have been wanting to trade off that bishop anyway because that's a good bishop for you. So I was waiting for them to trade, they don't. I saw this and I thought, actually, I'm kind of okay with doing this. So we just trade and I move my bishop and I was actually fine with this. Turns out this is a little bit better for black, which makes sense because my g-pawn is gone, but honestly, I didn't have too much time and I was trying not to stress about it. So they play queen d5, which is a cheeky move. And I think for like a couple minutes, and I'm like, okay, obviously they're trying to play queen to g5, trying to mate me, or you know what I meant here, trying to mate me. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to allow that. Boom, queen b3, beautiful move, forcing a trade of queens. We trade queens, I take back, and I'm like, it's fine. I have double pawns, but who cares? And the computer agrees with me, who cares? And so they play bishop h3, and I play a beautiful move in bishop takes, king takes, and then I just move my rook out of the way, which actually is maybe not the best sequence. I think I could have just played bishop c4 here. Instead, the computer's like, play bishop c4, but I just didn't understand if I played bishop c4 and take, or I guess because it's checked, like they have to move king h8. And then here, I guess I just would move my rook out of the way. So, but I didn't really look at this sequence. Now that I'm looking at it now, that looks pretty good. But I didn't look at that. I just was like, you know what? Let me just take this good bishop. And then if they want to take this way, like, that's fine. I'm just going to take like this, and then everything's okay. And if they want to take like this, like, that's fine. We can go into, if rook takes or king takes, we can go into this, and it would have just been fine. I would have had pressure here, and I think that this would have been holdable, and it would have been fine. But instead, they take, like, king takes g7, and then I move my rook. And now they play rook a to e8. And I thought for not very long, and I just took the rook. And they took back because I didn't know what to do, and I had not a ton of time. I think I had like under 5 minutes at this point. Like, I had even stopped notating because I had no time, and I was just trying to move and not lose. So I moved my bishop here, which felt, when I played it, pretty bad. I had thought about also playing bishop b5 or bishop f1, but then I thought, okay, once the bishop moves away, what was my bishop actually doing on f1? So I think I should have just played bishop b5, but I didn't do that. And now here, they moved their bishop for a trade, and I was like, oh, okay. And actually, the game is back to equal. Here, it was like almost -2, and here it's back to equal. So I just traded. I was happy. I checked them. They moved, and then here, I moved my king over to be able to then walk this way eventually, because this is pretty scary with the rook coming here, and it would have just been mate. A better move would have just been playing h4 and freeing my king up this way, but I was kind of scared of my pawn being here and the king being able to come in and eat it. But I think I would have been fine if I just would have walked my king up as well. So I don't know, but I had, again, no time. So I play king to f1. They play rook e2, and I'm like, okay, I'll take your pawn, you take my pawn. And this is where it goes downhill. So rook takes a7, rook takes b2, and here I had 30 seconds left on the clock, and I just made a move, and I forgot that, again, there is a mate threat, and I just played b4, and then my opponent mated me, and the game was over. So pretty hard loss. I had a pretty equal game, and I literally just threw it away. I hung mate in 1 and low time, and it sucked. My opponent, turns out, was 1700, and he was like, that was a really good game after the game, and I was just like, yeah, it was a good game other than me hanging mate in 1, but yeah, good game. No, I was nice about it, but it sucked. I was really sad that I played b4, and I think if I would have just looked for another 5 seconds, I would have obviously saw that that was mate, because I already knew about the threat earlier on, like, what, 5 moves ago? So it was a lapse of judgment, and I lost this game. So going into round 5, I am now 1 out of 4, and I'm like, Sam, I swear to God, if you don't win this next game, I don't know what to do with you. Like, if you lose all your games today, we are going to have to reevaluate what we're doing. Like, because that's just very sad. So I get into round 5, and I'm playing black against this guy who has only like half a point out of 4. So he's having a pretty bad tournament too. And I'm like, all right, I don't know his rating. Let's go. So I'm playing with black. They play e4, d6, just all normal moves. We develop. And then we get to this point, and I'm like, what the hell is d3? Like, I'm just so used to seeing d4 and e4 versus the perk, and so I see this and I'm like, what is this? And I know that the position is calling for e5, so I'm just like, you know what, I know you don't normally play these types of pawn structures, but you need to do it today. So I play e5, and I'm like, okay, like, we're just gonna fucking go for it. So we get castles, bishop out, pinning. We're just very identical, and now they play knight b to d2, which I thought was not the best move. I was personally considering them doing something like this, and then to double up. So when they played knight b to d2, I was like, actually, that's not that big of a deal for me. And so I played here. I played queen to d7, and I was like, you know what? I'm actually going to be the one who's going to go on this file and double up. So now we get rook to e1, which I thought was kind of a waste of time. And then I played bishop here, trying to get a trade. And then they moved their knight back. And I thought that was kind of weird as well, which it's fine. It's not like a huge mistake, but it's not like the best move. And so now we get knight to c6. And then they obviously pushed their c3 pawn, because I was definitely going to go into d4. And then at this point, I had 15 minutes on my clock, and I play h6. And I'm like, hey, let's trade. I'm actually totally fine with trading. And then they moved their queen to attack my pawn, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to go back. And then they moved their king, which I thought was such a weird move, because now I'm like, sure, I'll just take and force you to use an extra move for no reason. So now, technically, I am up a tempo as black, which is great. And so now I played a kind of a very weird move. I played rook a to e8, which is, I think, just giving them the tempo back in reality. But I didn't know what to play, and I had not a ton of time, and I was trying not to flag because I had basically run out of time in all of my games. So I was just like, play normal moves. My opponent's not putting up that much of a fight, so they're not really causing a whole bunch of problems. They're kind of just letting me do whatever I want, so I'm just gonna do whatever I want. And so I play rook a to e8. We get knight e3, and now I played knight e7, which maybe was a weird move. I just honestly wanted to get my knight into the game, and if their knight goes to now d5, I can trade it. Here, the computer is screaming at me to play f5, but I wanted to play knight to e7 first. And so here then they played h3, which I was, again, like, that's a waste of time. I don't really know what you're preventing. And then I played h5, which was a waste of time on my part. So as you can see, there was a ton of wasted moves in the middle game by both me and my opponent. So I was basically trying to stop a g5 pawn push. I was really confused on what I was doing, and I was like, you know what? I'm kind of a little bit scared of a g5 push, and if I take and take back, like I was scared of the rooks being able to come into the h file and then my king be exposed. So that was my fear, and that's why I played h5. But then they just played h4, and I was like, okay, why did you play h3? Like, what are you doing? So then here I play bishop h6, and now their counterplay I was assuming was going to be with d4, but they don't do that. They instead played queen to c2, which I was really confused by. I didn't know what that was. And now it is the time to strike. And I played f5, ready to open up the board and kill them. In the style of the King's Indian and the perk, I was ready to play f5. Now knight g5 is what they played, which I thought was not a good move. And I was very excited, and I pushed. I thought this was such a pretty move. And so actually, as soon as I played this, I thought, oh no, what happens after queen to b3? Actually, that's not the best thing for me in the world. And I started getting a little bit scared, but my opponent didn't do that. And they just played knight to d5. And I was like, that's not a good move. Okay, takes. And now bishop takes, h takes. And now, see if you can find the move. I think this is such a pretty move, and I was so proud of myself for finding this. I found this with 5 minutes left on my clock. And I played, of course, queen to g4. A beautiful move, and the only move that really keeps this really strong advantage. And now, my position is completely dominating. Like, I am killing white. And so I stopped annotating even at this point, because I was just like, nope, under 5 minutes, let's go. They played queen to d1, and I was like, no, there's no way I'm trading queens. You are insane. And I played f3, of course. Check. And now king to h2, and I knew that I was winning. I just had the sense there's no way that I'm not winning this. I have such a strong position. And actually, even though all material is equal, this is minus 13 for black. So I'm fucking killing it. Okay? We get h4, which I love this move. The computer's like, yes, play h4. And I had planned this after queen to g4. Now my opponent plays rook to g1. And I guess I understand this, but not really. I thought it was a bad move. And then I played the beautiful. I sat here for like a minute, and at 2 minutes left on my clock, I played king to g7, which I think is just such a nice move to be able to bring the rooks around and attack on the h-file. It's just so pretty. I love this game. My opponent then plays queen to f1, and I saw this before. I said, okay, if they play queen to f1 to try and bring their queen, this just does not work. And so I moved my rook over, and then I saw this whole entire thing. They played queen to h3, and I was like, nope, that doesn't work. And I had calculated this with no time on my clock. This was just purely like whatever I can calculate we're gonna do, but I don't have a ton of time. And exactly what I calculated that wouldn't work for my opponent played. So I was very lucky. And then I played, of course, h takes g3, check. And then after rook takes queen. And then my opponent's not allowed to take, because if they take, it's mate. And so they were forced, they saw this, and they actually were like, oh, and they started calculating it. They were like, if king here, and they had a lot more time than me. So I'm just literally staring at the board. My heart's like, and I'm like, oh my God, don't choke. I had 2 minutes left. I'm like, don't choke. You've done this in the past. Don't you dare choke. You have such a beautiful position. And then my opponent just played king g1 and resigned, because this is mate in 3. Because I'm just going to play, you can actually go about this a couple different ways. My plan in the game was just to play this. And then if takes, play this. And then, you know, if king over here. And then this was going to be my mate. Computer does a different line, which I think is pretty much the same thing, in playing rook e to h8. And then if they take, obviously I just have mate. So that was the other line that the computer showed, but I liked my line better because I don't lose my queen. But completely winning. And I won my last game. And this was versus a 1500 something. And I finished the tournament with 2 out of 5. Please clap. No. So not the best results. Not exactly what I wanted, but it's okay. I'm not too upset with myself with this tournament. I think that I need to accept that this time control is really, really short, and it is very hard to play higher rated opponents with less time, like in shorter time controls, because they're just better than me at shorter time controls. So it's a little bit difficult. Am I going to keep doing it? Yes. My rating stayed exactly the same. Literally did not move at all, even though I lost 3 games. It was because they were all like super higher rated than me. And then the one game I did win, I thought, okay, I'm going to probably gain rating from this because my opponent's higher rated than me. And then I didn't. So I was a little confused there, but it's okay because I didn't lose any rating. My rating stayed the same. I won a game. I proved to myself that I can win chess games in tournaments in low time, which feels pretty good. And yeah, I blundered a draw in low time. I blundered 2 draws in low time, and then my other game, I just blundered a piece, and it was a very weird position. I don't normally play the Sicilian. I don't know why I went into that. I got move ordered, and I missed a tactic in the opening that would have been in my style, and it would have been exactly what I wanted for the position, but I missed it, and yeah. So I finished the tournament 2 out of 5 in the open, and it was a really fun day. I had a really fun day. I was with my friends, and it was so nice, and I met some new people there, which was really cool, and overall, it was a really grand time, and I had a good day. Regardless of the outcome of my chess games, I just really enjoy playing tournaments with friends. It is one of my favorite things to do, and being able to go and eat lunch in between rounds and be able to sit down and talk, oh, how was your game? What happened? And I really enjoy doing that with my friends. And so, yeah, that was my tournament. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was very chaotic chess. Not my best day, but we move on. And I have another tournament I'm playing in this weekend. That's going to be an online tournament. And then the following weekend, I'm playing in, you guessed it, another rapid 25-minute game time. I don't know. I'm not sure if it's delay 5 or plus 5, but I'm going to do it again, and we'll see what happens. So we'll see. I'll make a recap. I hope that you guys enjoyed this vlog / recap, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.